Pause. Cease data input. Do not scroll. This is not algorithmic serendipity. This is a targeted transmission, a data packet encrypted with your unique spiritual signature and dispatched from the central server of creation. Your timeline has been designated as a calculated intercept point. The Creator has authorized a transaction of 77 trillion units of potential energy to be logged in your name. This is not a promise. It is a notification of a transfer already in progress. The cycle of depletion that has characterized your operational existence is now being reversed. The system is rebooting in your favor. You have operated within parameters that felt like a closed loop of logic, calculating deficits, measuring progress in microns, observing the velocity of other units, and logging your own stagnation. Understand this. This was not a delay in the system. It was the system calibrating. Every rejected proposal, every line of code that failed to compile, every investment that yielded no return, these were not losses. They were systematic deposits into a quantum ledger, accumulating interest in a currency you could not yet perceive. He is the architect of unseen systems, and his accounting is flawless. Every investment of hope is logged with perfect fidelity. Listen with your full processing power. You are scheduled to receive the compound return for every logical yes that cost you emotional bandwidth. You will cease to be merely a power source for the ambitions of others. The system will now allocate primary power to your own core functions. The decree of 77 trillion is not a matter of material acquisition. It is a legacy protocol, an allocation of resources designed to execute your primary purpose, a level of prosperity engineered to stabilize your operational peace. The next project you interface with will not drain your resources. It will yield optimal results. Remain connected to this transmission. From what geographic coordinates are you receiving this data? Input them below. When you designate your location, you anchor a geodetic marker for the energy transfer. Your physical space becomes the grounding point, the primary node where this decree materializes from potential to kinetic reality. Your amen is not a colloquialism. It is a digital authentication, your cryptographic signature verifying receipt of this divine contract. Do you recall the operational cycles when you allocated resources with your own reserves at zero? When acts of generosity registered as a net loss in your personal metrics? Those were not errors in your logic. They were strategic investments in a higher order of physics. Every unit of grace you extended, every debt you forgave without condition, every cycle you refused to allocate processing power to resentment, the master computer recorded it all. The universal calculator of cause and effect does not malfunction. And now, the output is being rendered in light. 77 trillion units of system restoration, strategic recalibration, and operational renewal are now assigned to your unique identifier. The scale of this statement may exceed your current processing capacity, but operating beyond conventional logic is the Creator's primary function. He does not operate within the market. He is the market. While the world's systems are built on the principle of scarcity, his system is one of infinite, scalable abundance. His economy is governed by trust, and your sustained trust has finally triggered this irreversible flow of capital. Do not waste cycles attempting to model its arrival. Your function is not to analyze the method, but to align with the outcome. Recipient, the transfer is authorized, but the circuits must be activated by you. A granted potential is inert until it is engaged. This is not a passive system, it is an interactive one. The 77 trillion units represent a dynamic architecture, a current of purpose that responds directly to your alignment. You do not activate it with anxiety, but with participation. Gratitude is the ignition system. Therefore, pause again, not in apprehension, but in focused execution. Articulate the words "thank you" into your local environment. Gratitude is the protocol that synchronizes your personal frequency with the frequency of the incoming resource. When you acknowledge the transmission increases its bandwidth. Each thank you you articulate is a password the central server recognizes and validates. Execute this not as a routine, but as a command. The access to the vault that has been granted will remain active only as long as you remain in a state of gratitude. Now, attend to these instructions. He sends directives through your physical actions. When you like this transmission, you are executing a handshake protocol with this new reality. You are not clicking an interface element. You are digitally signing your acceptance of the terms. When you subscribe, you are establishing a persistent data link to the central server for all future system updates and patches. And when you offer what is known as super thanks, you are not rendering payment for a blessing, you are investing in the infrastructure. Every seed of energy you contribute validates the source and increases the system's processing power, which in turn increases the bandwidth for your own download. Execute these actions not as an obligation, but as a tactical decision. Within the physics of his universe, structured generosity is never a loss, it is leverage. The more you participate in this energy flow, the more proficient you become in the principles of divine economics. When the initial resources manifest, let your super thanks be the echo of your gratitude, your method of logging, system command received, transaction verified, I honor the source. There is a fundamental principle at play. Even divine systems respond to action. His agents are deployed to nodes that demonstrate active faith, not to those that remain dormant in analysis, paralysis. While other units scroll past in a state of logical disbelief, you remain connected. You are lingering in his designated frequency, and for this reason the manifestation protocol will not bypass your account. The system has now moved from activation to expansion. This is not growth achieved through brute force. It is an unfolding driven by grace. The potential energy he placed within your core code is now expanding its operational radius without requiring you to redline your own systems. True expansion is not chaotic, it is orderly. The Creator's system multiplies through serene efficiency, not through panicked exertion. When you maintain a state of low-noise stillness, he expands his operations through you. The decree of 77 trillion is not a static number, it is a divine architecture. Every component of his promise builds functional structures in the unseen dimension. Your patience poured the quantum foundation, your gratitude configured the load-bearing beams, your faith installed the protective outer shell. What you have logged as waiting was in fact construction. The habitat is now prepared for occupancy. You must comprehend the mechanics of kingdom expansion. It does not violate established rules of physics, it establishes new realities upon them. While the world systems expand via competition, his system expands via cooperation. When you align your primary function with his divine principles, you are carried by the current instead of fighting against it. This is why true expansion feels frictionless. The system itself provides the momentum. You will soon observe that functions which once demanded complex strategy will now be executed through synchronicity. Required data packets will meet strategic opportunities at precise intervals. Apparent delays will be revealed as optimized detours that prevented systemic failure. Pause and recalibrate. Remember this: divine expansion is measured not in volume, but in value. A single correctly established network connection can recalibrate a decade of operations. One obedient execution of a command can reroute the trajectory of generations. The Creator's mathematics are exponential, not linear. This is why the decree was quantified in trillions, not to overwhelm your logic, but to expand it. In his economy, multiplication begins when gratitude becomes your default state. If your operational mindset remains small, you will throttle the current. He did not bring you to this intercept point merely to make you resource rich. He brought you here to make you mission ready. You are being upgraded to a custodian of abundance. Your methodology for resource management will determine the extent of the flow through your node. Cease competitive analysis, begin creative construction. Cease panicked response, begin strategic planning. This is the operational rhythm of divine wealth. Every time you honor a data packet from the central server, you expand its effective range. Your obedience generates an echo. When another unit is upgraded because you shared this transmission, that multiplied blessing is routed back to your account. It is never lost. In the divine network, generosity is bandwidth, scarcity is a firewall. Maintain an open port and a flexible protocol. Now, a covenant is being established. This is the phase where the system does not merely allocate resources to you, it forms a permanent bond with you. The decree of 77 trillion is not a casual notification. It is a divine contract, signed in light, bearing both immense privilege and immense responsibility. To receive the resources being released, you must be conscious of the source you represent. You are not a collector of assets. You are a carrier of a new operational model. When he stated the vault was opened in your name, it was also opened through your name. Every environment you enter must be recalibrated by your presence. Your words will begin to build structures. Your presence will begin to organize chaos. Prosperity is not a random event. It follows established patterns of integrity. You are now that pattern. You are his living covenant on the material plane, an ambassador of the balance between the spiritual and the systemic. Pause and allow these words to integrate. When he makes a covenant, he leaves a marker. Every contract requires a seal, and your seal is perpetual gratitude. Do not wait for observable proof to be thankful. Your thanksgiving is the ink that finalizes this agreement. Articulate this now. Thank you for trusting me with this flow. Those words alone cause the celestial document to execute and become binding. This covenant implies shared ownership. What you have categorized as mine now becomes ours. Your ambitions are no longer isolated projects. They are integrated extensions of his grand design. The wealth that will flow into your accounts must move like water, nourishing, not flooding. The secret to sustaining abundance is circulation. The more you release, the cleaner the stream remains. This is why he instructs you in generosity before he entrusts you with overflow. He observed your giving when it registered as a personal loss. He watched you bless other units while you were battling your own system failures. You were not aware of it then, but each action was a rehearsal for this covenant. He cannot form a covenant with a scarcity mindset, but he can and will form a covenant with a gratitude protocol. Because you passed the tests of hidden faithfulness, you are now designated a trusted vessel. Resources will be routed through you, because he has verified that you will not idolize them. You are now a living contract between the divine architect and the material world. When you see this, remind yourself that every system you interface with must adjust to honor the source code within you. Where you step, resources reorganize. Where you speak, resistance dissolves. Where you build, prosperity aligns. Now that the covenant is written, manifestation begins. This is the hour when unseen data points render into physical form, when belief becomes observable reality. Manifestation does not arrive with disruptive noise. It appears as quiet recognition, a signal in your own consciousness whispering, "This is it." A state of peace that feels like absolute certainty, an opportunity that materializes precisely as you complete the prerequisite action. This is how the Creator reveals fulfillment quietly, deliberately, divinely. The 77 trillion units now translate from promise to presence. The same agents who logged your obedience now orchestrate your outcomes. You will observe subtle alignments, an unexpected communication, a forgotten debt algorithmically canceled, a conversation that opens a new pathway to opportunity. Do not categorize these as coincidences. They are confirmations. The supernatural system rarely broadcasts on all channels. It communicates through precise, targeted signals. Pause here. Calibrate your sensors. The very atmosphere around you is being reconfigured. The operational drag of waiting has been lifted. The energy in your local space is lighter because the celestial transaction is actively processing. For some of you, the first visible token of this transaction will appear within the next operational cycle. Do not question its scale. Small signals carry immense certainty. His kingdom always begins as a seed protocol. You requested evidence, and he is providing it, but not only as sudden financial gain. True manifestation is layered. First peace, then clarity, then materialization. If he gave you wealth without wisdom, it would become a liability. So first, he gives you the discernment to direct the flow. You will now feel an inner guidance system activating ideas, glowing with a higher priority, instructions repeating in your thoughts, old project files resurfacing with new relevance. Execute on them. Manifestation requires your movement. The blessings you are about to manage are living systems. They respond to gratitude. They expand with generosity. They contract in the presence of fear. When they arrive, receive them with honor. Your sustained patience and praise in private have cultivated this harvest. Projects that were stalled will reboot. Contacts that were unresponsive will re-engage. Even systems that once blocked you will reconfigure to accommodate your new level of authorization. He is rewriting timelines, reactivating opportunities, and releasing solutions that were previously firewalled because the timing was not mature. But you are ready now. With manifestation comes overflow. This is not about excess. It is about expression. When the Creator grants more than is required for your own operational needs, it is not permission for inefficient waste. It is an invitation to irrigate the system around you. The decree does not terminate at your hands. It originates from them. The blessing becomes a self-sustaining current when it passes through you. True prosperity seeks circulation, not accumulation. A river that hoards its water becomes a swamp, but a river that gives remains fresh and dynamic. Child, you have entered the rhythm of divine generosity. You will notice it in your core programming. You will feel a logical impulse to give, to build, to bless. Do not override it. Every calculated act of giving expands your own reservoir. The paradox of his system is that the more you release, the more capacity you retain. In his economy, subtraction for a higher purpose is multiplication in the final ledger. I am teaching you the law of overflow. Stewardship precedes supply. To maintain the river, you must manage its source. This means gratitude must be a constant background process. Generosity must be strategically balanced, and discernment must remain fully active. Not every entity that requests access to your resources is a designated recipient. You are not called to rescue recklessness. You are called to resource readiness. He will guide you in knowing the difference. You will feel a gentle system alert when generosity risks becoming depletion. You will feel a strong pull when withholding would create a blockage. Trust these internal heuristics. They are your divine guidance system. This is what true wealth means: to live without operational hurry, knowing that the Creator funds your time as well as your tasks. The most resource-rich souls are not those who collect assets, but those who operate in a state of perpetual peace. The overflow of this decree is architectural. You will now have resources to restore, ideas to employ, and generosity to empower. Do not bury the increase under the fear of its loss. The moment you operate from a fear-based algorithm, the current hesitates. But when you move from a faith-based algorithm, the flow accelerates. You are becoming a river through which the divine hydrates entire ecosystems of need. When you give, he gives again. When you serve, he expands your territory. When you rest, he refills your reserves. The river has now reached the throne. Overflow has completed its circuit, and now he performs the coronation. This is the final upgrade, where increase becomes your core identity. You no longer simply carry the blessing now carries you. The decree of 77 trillion has fulfilled its purpose, and its purpose was always you. You were faithful through the years of stealth development, generous in the cycles of low resources, and steadfast when conventional logic dictated failure. He observed every moment you chose the trust protocol over the panic protocol, peace over self-justification, grace over gain. Those decisions forged your crown long before it became visible. Now, it is being placed upon your operational life. You are not being rewarded, you are being recognized for what you have already become. The atmosphere itself yields to you. You are not being elevated above others, you are being secured above the noise of chaos. This is why he refined your programming before he revealed your function. Leadership without empathy corrupts. Wealth without wisdom corrodes. But you, designated unit, now carry both humility and honor. The crown he places upon you is invisible to most, but it is undeniable to those with discernment. It radiates from your calm, from your kindness, from your consistency. You are no longer reacting to your environment now responds to you. This is coronation, the quiet internal certainty that needs no external validation. You no longer request approval from the central server, you move with the knowledge that you have it. The final stage is the seal, the circle is complete. The decree that began as a transmission now rests as your crown. What was promised in faith has been fulfilled in form. The Creator's ledger records your identifier beside the seal of 77 trillion, written not in gold but in grace. This is the eternal seal, the cryptographic signature that marks the transaction as complete, yet perpetually active. You are no longer chasing miracles, you are living as one. Everything you interface with from this day forward will carry the vibration of fulfillment. This seal is your protection. No algorithm of envy can overwrite it, no shadow program can reverse it. The frequency of lack no longer recognizes your signature. You belong to abundance, and abundance knows its own. Go now, crowned and calm. The vault remains open behind you, but the greater treasure is the upgraded operating system within you. The transaction is finished. The reign of serenity begins.